Start your show now, press 1.
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nobody take no cornbread from me.
Yep, I guess so. Only if you're ready. I'm ready. Yeah, all right. Hey, people, how you doing? My name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black at Night Show. Glad you could tune in. For people on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, all you guys, Tim Black's Wolfpack is in the house. We got a very special show tonight. You know, last week, if you missed Freedom Friday, you didn't miss us because our phone lines wouldn't open. We did a show, but we're unable to open phone lines. I'm here to rectify that tonight with open phone lines, 319-527-6212. I see we have a few people already in the queue, all lined up. They got something to say. We're going to let them do it. Let me first check and make sure we have all systems to go at on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Let's do that. Oh, we're looking good on Facebook so far. Facebook people. Roseanne, can you hear me, Roseanne? What's up, James Collins? What's up, Mike? What's up, Janie Block? Lois and Chris? Amanda? Patricia? Marcy? What's up? What's up, Lee? What's up, Linda? Lisa? George? Suzanne? Fusco? Francisco? Jenna? Yeah. We're looking good. Sweet tie, thank you. I appreciate it. I got this tie back when I had a job, a regular job. That's about 7 years ago, maybe longer. Sounds good, brother. Thank you, Bruce. What's up, Rose? Roseanne Monterana, and Joyce Glasgow. Joyce Glasgow said, murder, not suicide. Go ahead, Judith. All right, let's go to YouTube and see if we got any love on the YouTube side. Oh, we got a few people on YouTube side. All right. Oh, we start the night off well with Western Goods TV, a new member. What's up, Western Goods TV? Shout out to Western Goods TV for joining the Tim Black Wolfpack. Mares, thank you. Wolfpack gift pack. Oh, he got it. All right. Mares. Hey, she got it. Hey, thank you, sister. Frederick Murphy in the house. James Byrne. Hello from Seattle. Hello from Maryland. Tatiana, what's up? Ringmaster. Jilly Love. The whole crew is saying what's up to each other. Dale Reynolds, Michael H. Can you guys hear me well? Thank you, Carmageddon. Wow. Karma is coming for you. That's right. I believe that Reese Mack. Karen Mitchell, can you hear me, sister? Robin, can you hear me? And Yang Gang in the building. Pew A, pickup artist A guy. Pure guy. All right, pickup artist. Can you hear me, pickup artist? Quincy. What's up, Quincy? What's up, Hollow? Money Train James is in the house once again. What's up, Money Train? Can you hear me, my brother? Michigan, no Oz. David Z. Mars Pluto, Ryan McDonald. I think somebody would tell me by now if they couldn't hear me because my mouth's been moving the entire time. I think we're good. All right, let me just make sure, man. I might have to cut the air on, man. It's hot in here. It's hot right now. I'm going to be sweating. Y'all. I don't want to be sweating. All right, let me see something if I can, let's see if we can, bam. All right, that's better. Okay. Things look a little crazy there for a minute. Had to just to make a little adjustment. All right, people, so you know what we're here for, right? Someone said, Tim, you could cut your mic up a little. I don't want to cut it up too loud, but I do want to cut up a little. Okay, you guys ready? So, as you know, over the weekend, we were given some weird news, to say the least. Unbelievable news. Almost unbelievable. Nothing's unbelievable, totally. Not in the world that we live in. But improbable, I could say, would be, well, was it really improbable? We'll throw adjectives out later to describe it. Jeffrey Epstein, billionaire, also accused pedophile, also convicted and admitted trafficker of girls, died in custody at the MCC, which is the Manhattan Correctional Facility. We're gonna talk a lot more about that facility. Metropolitan Correctional Facility. A Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. Lower Manhattan. Only 2 such facilities there. High-profile folks are kept at this facility. For some reason, Jeffrey Epstein was able to commit suicide at this facility, even though he had attempted it already and was placed on suicide watch. Seems a little strange. So there's been a lot of talk about it. What I thought was important to do was to open up phone lines and let my people have a conversation, let my people speak. I'm tired of hearing the talking heads talk about it endlessly, ad nauseum on cable media. What say you, people? Just to give a little bit of context about the details so we can all kind of agree or at least have a starting point for disagreement, which is just as important. I want to play a clip for you, show you, that will encapsulate what's going on where we are now. This is from MSNBC.
Something had to take place. There's an incredible photo on the New York Post website right now that shows Epstein being wheeled in by paramedics this morning, and they're working hard to try to revive him as he's wheeled into the downtown hospital where he was pronounced dead about 7:39 this morning. Again, he was found around 6:30 this morning. We are told now from 5 sources he was alone in his cell and that suicide appears to be the leading cause here. But of course, as you're hearing, there will be an investigation. In the previous incident, there was less clarity, in part because he shared a cell with a roommate and the defense lawyer for that other inmate had said the two were getting along fine, no assault took place, and that Epstein apparently had tried to take his own life in that previous incident. How serious an attempt that was, there's a lot of debate and question about that, whether it was just a cry out for attention. Again, we are told from multiple sources he was having a very difficult time inside the MCC. He's an accused child sex offender. He is accustomed to the life of luxury with his mansions, and now he's sitting in the MCC, which is a very secure facility where drug dealers, terrorists, you name it, are held in that facility. He was put in a separate wing for high-risk inmates. First, he had a roommate. Then, after that initial incident, he was moved to his own cell, and for a time was on suicide watch. We only have one official, but it's a good one official telling us he was recently taken off suicide watch, but remained in an isolated cell. We're waiting to hear clarity on that detail from the Bureau of Prisons to see exactly when and if he was taken off suicide watch and what that meant for the items and clothing he had in his own cell, because if you're on suicide watch, we're told there are no sheets, there are no blankets, that you are watched quite carefully. But of course, we also hear stories about people who are on suicide watch and in isolation, and they wind up using their pants or whatever minimal clothing they are provided. So the question is, how closely was he being watched? Is the expectation 24/7? Or is it hourly? Is it every 3 hours? What is the correct protocol with an inmate like this? And I think those are some of the questions that need to be raised and need to be answered. But everything we're being told from now 5 sources is that this is an apparent suicide.
Jonathan Deans, great reporter. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you being here to give us some answers on that. Hey there.
Are we back? We're back. First thing I want to do is clear up something that I heard this gentleman say that needs to be cleared up right now. Jeffrey Epstein was not an accused sexual predator nor accused molester of children. He is a convicted sexual offender. He's an admitted convicted sexual offender. He was required to register as a sex offender wherever he lived in the United States. This is beyond... This does not require discussion. There can be no discussion about this. This is why this case is back and forth in front of us. It's the hypocrisy of our democracy, of our the betrayal of the victims in that initial case, where Jeffrey Epstein could serve really basically no time, 6 months at a Club Med, then wear an ankle bracelet and be home detention. Serving home detention situation for about 5 hours a day. So make no mistake about it. What he's talking about here about being an accused sex offender, that's hogwash, that's BS. So let's make sure we do that right. What we will not do is sugarcoat this situation of the victims. We don't do that on this channel. All right, so what I'd like to do now is share through a couple of issues regarding this case that first things that pop into our head. I've seen a lot of people kind of go down the aisle on this. They run down, the saying about the 2 bulls on the top of the hill. They see the bunch of cows. Well, they run down. Let's not run down the hill right away. Let's take a little moment, make sure, because, see, some people are jumping to conclusions and blaming this on Trump or Clinton. First thing we need to do is try to come up with something that's based in fact or based in closest fact as we can get about, is this actually a suicide or is this a murder? Because that's the first question I think needs to be asked. So intelligent minds, logical people, we need to look into that. Though, don't get me wrong, I have a problem with the media who want to paint this. When you say the word conspiracy, guys, it has a negative connotation. We'll never get beyond that. That's the way it's always going to be. They created it so that it would have a negative connotation. That's where the term conspiracy theorist was conjured up. To detract from accusations about our government dealings from lay people or investigators. That's why that term exists. Now, what I don't appreciate and what I've noticed over the weekend is a propensity of people to accuse good people, good actors, regular people, taxpaying citizens of this country as being conspiracy theorists, like we're whack jobs, nut jobs, because we apply the same logic that we would apply in any other case to this case. We have a powerful person. We have a person. Strip away his power. We have a person who has information that could be damaging to a number of high-profile individuals. As I tweeted out, got like 2,000 likes, 500 retweets, something crazy like that. Did pretty good. Reached about 200,000 people. I said, if someone in the hood who's turning state's evidence, says he's going to snitch in order to get reduced time, ends up dead, no one calls you a conspiracy theorist or a whack job for assuming maybe some people he was snitching on had something to do with it. No one would call you crazy. No one would say that you're unpatriotic, that you're crazy, that you're just throwing stuff against the wall, that they would all say, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Because when Darrell, no disrespect to Darrell's in the audience, but when Darrell or Jose or Cody, when Darrell, Jose, or Cody, or Kim, regular guys who involved in criminal activity, get a little cold feet about doing a whole lot of time and start running their mouth, well, things happen to them. And nobody goes, hey, you can't say that. See, the only difference here is that in this situation, Jeffrey Epstein is very high profile and connected. And when you say that about Jeffrey Epstein, who could benefit or who would benefit from Jeffrey Epstein being dead suddenly in his cell? Well, it would blow back on people who have power. No one cares if someone blames you. Yeah, a friend of yours dies in jail and he has dirt on you. No one would care about people thinking you had something to do with it. That'd be nothing. Screw you. But let it be notable individuals. So that's the first thing. It's such hypocritical. So hypocritical is what they are. All right? That we can't even apply basic logic that we use for the rest of us. That's how being the untouchable, elitist, rich bastards, well-connected people, that's how great it is. You're above scrutiny of the average individual. No, that's how that works. Okay? We can't even have the thought. We can't even voice the thought. This video will be not demonetized due to that because we can't even have the conversation. But we're not doing this for the monetization. We're doing this because this is what the community needs. I'd like to share with you an article. Scene 2. Now, this article, by Judith Miller, Jeffrey Epstein case is almost impossible to kill yourself in jail. Here's how I know. Here are a few things I know firsthand about being in jail. First and foremost, you have virtually no control over your life and your surroundings. You can't get so much as an aspirin without authorization. In most jails, you can't wear a belt or shoelaces or keep a razor in your cell. You have no privacy, no sense of dignity, and no rights. And in a well-run jail, high-profile prisoners have virtually no chance of killing themselves. Yeah, it's pretty much improbable. Now, how does Judith Miller come to this? How does she know this? She said firsthand, well, see, she is a journalist who would not turn over her source who spent time in jail because of it, because she has something that's very rare called journalistic ethics. So she went to jail. That's how she knows. Jeffrey Epstein, 66-year-old financier with powerful American and foreign friends, was about to stand trial for allegedly sexually abusing dozens of girls. Many of them underage. It's particularly unfathomable and outrageous. Attorney General William Barr clearly agrees, saying that he was appalled to have learned that Epstein was found dead at 6:30 on Saturday morning at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan, the MCC. Barr instructed the department's inspector general to investigate precisely what happened, why, who, what, where, how. Now, here goes the facts that you need to know, guys. Epstein was placed on suicide watch on July 23rd after being found semi-conscious in his cell with some form of marks around his neck. The prison officials described his condition as being the result of a failed suicide attempt. He was removed from suicide watch 6 days later, on July 29th, and returned to a segregated area of the prison with extra security known as the Special Housing Unit. Why Epstein was removed from suicide watch to begin with will be a subject of a DOJ investigation. Yeah. Attempted suicide, according to officials, an apparent suicide attempt, results in 6 days being on suicide watch and then put in a special unit, as we know the result of that. While the officials from the Department Bureau of Prisons, which oversee or supervises the MCC and other federal prisons, have said little about Epstein's death other than the claim that Epstein hanged himself, officials told them Sunday that the prisoner's psychological team had evaluated Epstein. Very important. A team was evaluating Epstein. What they find out, Tim Black? They found out on a daily basis after his alleged suicide attempt and found him to be no risk to himself. Yeah, we're getting a little bit beyond anecdotal here. We're getting a little bit beyond just people pulling stuff out of their behind because it sounds cool to say. His legal team, a psychological team, the prison's psychological team, not his legal team, the prison's psychological team evaluated him on a daily basis and found him to be no threat to himself. Officials said that Epstein had met for many hours each day with his legal team, and both he and his lawyers had repeatedly assured the prison that he did not want to kill himself and had asked MCC to remove him from the suicide watch. So the reason why he was taken off suicide watch was a combination effort of the prison officials and his own legal team and himself. Officials say that under the prison's rules and procedures, Epstein was supposed to be given a cellmate and monitored by prison guards every 30 minutes. This should have happened 24 hours a day after being removed from suicide watch. So even outside of suicide watch, I've seen people get this wrong. I've seen people get it incorrect here, okay? And maybe there's different reports going out, I don't know. Even without being on suicide watch, the fact that he had allegedly attempted suicide, this was the conditions. This was the procedure. The procedure was every 30 minutes they want to check on him anyway. That's notwithstanding suicide watch. Prison experts believe that having a cellmate helps deter suicide. Neither officials nor Epstein's legal team would comment on whether those procedures were followed. But at least one official familiar with the episode said that they were not. So at least one official says he wasn't checked every 30 minutes for 24 hours a day, as was required, and he did not have a cellmate, which also was required. I wonder why he doesn't have to stand the same level of security that others would have to stand. I wonder why the rules have been bent. Now, that's when we come into a situation where we're having to guess. There's no doubt that rules were changed and modified. But why? Now, Epstein had a cellmate before his initial alleged suicide attempt, but cellmate Nicholas Tartaglione, former police officer facing murder charges, stand-up guy, obviously, pillar of society, was not returned to share a cell with him after Epstein was placed on watch and then removed from the list. The official said that Epstein was alone in his cell for some time before his death, again in violation of the prison's rules and procedures. So, That's one article. Let's go. I got another article we want to hit real quick. I just want to make sure people know we're not just pulling stuff out of thin air. This one's from the New York Post. Suicide supposedly nearly impossible at ultra-secure Jeffrey Epstein lockup. Even though it was supposedly so secure, Epstein apparently managed to hang himself in his cell in the special housing unit on the 9th floor of the Federal Metropolitan Correctional Center at about 6:30 a.m. Saturday. He had been on suicide watch there, presumably without access to a belt or shoelaces, and closely monitored by guards. Now, this is all standard protocol, as we stated before. Now, here goes some more details about the MCC, the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, Lower Manhattan. Suicide at the jail, which serves mainly as a holding facility for about 765 men and women awaiting trial for federal crimes of all levels, is rare. A review of published stories found only one such death in the past 21 years. See, it gets even more murky. See, they want you, me, all of us, to be kooky conspiracy theorists. I wonder how many people have passed through this prison in the last 21 years, because that was the last time there was a suicide at the jail. 21 years ago. This is suspicious as hell, isn't it not? Isn't it? Let me say that again. This is suspicious as hell. A review of published stories found only one such death in the past 21 years, the 98 suicide of South Philadelphia drug kingpin Luis Torra, who reportedly hanged himself. I bet if we go look up Luis Torra, I think people are going to question if he hung himself as well. Yeah. A handful of suicide attempts were also reported, but life in the specialized units often involves inmates being watched by cameras in their cells and checked by guards almost constantly. Oh, come on, Tim, they got time to do stuff in there. It's jail. Nah, it's not like every other jail. People compare, they call this the U.S. Abu Ghraib. Abu Ghraib? In an article published by Gothamist last year, Gene Theoharis, a Brooklyn College political science professor who has written extensively about conditions the MCC called the facility, the American Gulag, not Abu Ghraib. She told Gothamist, if I describe these conditions, filthy freezing, no natural light, isolation so extreme that you're punished for speaking through the walls, absurd rules like prisoners not getting to secrecy so deep that people are force-fed. Gosh. Lawyers can be punished for describing conditions their clients are experiencing. You'd be forgiven for thinking that this was Iran or Russia. So, guys, the table's been set. I think anyone who's questioning if this was a suicide or murder is very much within their bounds to do so. I think that anyone who would look at this situation, the facts that I laid out, not my opinions, based on what we know, based on the history of the complex, based on the history of the prison guards, based on the procedures of that prison, can come back with the idea that maybe something went foul here, something was done to Jeffrey Epstein, not by Jeffrey Epstein. I think that's very much a reasonable stance to take. Now, is that something that was done? Was it done? Who it was done by would be the question. Now, remember, Jeffrey Epstein, pedophile. According to all reports, lowest walking amoeba Well, let's just say they get treated the worst in prison. Allegedly, that's what I've heard. That's what I've always heard. So let's not, let's factor that into our cake. We bake that into the cake. Not a well-liked guy. But still, even if we say we don't know, there's something, somebody could have did something to Jeffrey Epstein because of finding out what he did or what his crimes were, that does not negate the fact that something got done and how it got done. It seems very much plausible to say for anything that happened to you in this prison, somebody had to let it happen. And to think there was already an alleged apparent attempt for them not to go, we better be careful. This is a big deal. Heads will roll. I think that's beyond a pale not to consider all these facts, guys. So now I guess we're going to have that conversation. I want to open up phone lines. 319-527-6212. 319-527-6212. Call up. Let's go and see if what the people think. 704-330, my first call. Let me make sure we're good. We're live here. Looks like we're good. Hey, 704, hold on 1 second. Let me bring you in here. Hey, you're live on the phone, 704. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Tim. How's it going? This is Bruce from Charlotte.
Okay, speak up one more time for me.
I said, this is Bruce from Charlotte.
Okay, Bruce, what's on your mind?
Okay, so I guess at a time like this, the establishment is kind of happy that they allowed that Telecommunications Act to come through. It's so much easier to control the narrative when you only have like 5 or 6 news organizations you have to pay off, right? Let's see. I've already seen some upcoming episodes of some other shows like The Daily Show, and trust me, just like you've been hearing all through the day, they're already starting to try to pace the narrative. I was looking at tonight's episode of The Daily Show, and instead of actually going into depth about the situation at hand with the people that could have been potentially benefited from Epstein's untimely, quote-unquote, demise, he goes into a conversation about, was it really a conspiracy? Did the conspiracy start 10 years ago when he had all this, special treatment and so forth and so forth, and he goes into what he did. And basically, he just like, I'm pretty sure you'll see down the line, you'll start seeing the media start trying to use what he did as a way of getting people to really not pity him or not look further, but say, he did this, he did that, he was a horrible person, there's nothing to see there. He was a horrible person, why should you care? Look that way. Look that way. It's scary when you think about how blatant, this could have possibly been in reference to, possible influence. And I thought to myself, the type of prison that he was in, it wasn't like he was in some low-rank, shantytown jail or something. This place held El Chapo. And let's be honest here, if they gave El Chapo the same amount of time they gave Jeffrey Epstein, with no supervision, I think we saw what happened the last time. Jail did not keep good eyes on him. So if you were able to keep track of someone like, El Chapo, you were able to keep track of someone like John Gotti from getting out of prison, the most high-profile person to come in there in decades, you seem to, make a oopsie. It just doesn't add up. And then on top of that, the person, apparently one of the guards that were involved in watching him, a lot of them were doing overtime. I think one of the actual guards did 5 straight, it was on his 5th straight day of overtime. 5th straight day of overtime, and you're responsible for guarding one of the most high-profile, not the most high-profile, people in your jails to come in like a generation. I feel like this goes a lot higher up than a bunch of guards. And then the worst part is when you think about, how they're trying to, I've seen in some news instances they're trying to push the fault onto the guards. But at the end of the day, even if you push it onto the guards, from what I hear, no one's going to go to jail for it. The worst possibility is like reprimandment, Someone gets fired maybe. No one's not going to get like any type of jail time. I would definitely like to see what their records look like, financial records. If anything were to occur where they did get fired, I'd like to see the financial records of the people who run the jail. Be honest with you, to see if there was any big donations that may have came in. This is the type of stuff when people look back and see things like the Seth Rich situation. People feel like, so we're crazy, we're insane. Someone gets shot in the back of the head, supposed robbery, but yet nothing gets taken. What was that lady that you had on your show, Donna?
All right.
Donna Brazil.
Yeah.
She mentions him in her book.
Okay.
And she says that she feared for her life.
Yeah, I really don't want to go. I want to go into that. I appreciate it, Bruce. Thank you for the phone call. Yeah, I don't want to get into the Seth Rich thing, man. It's just too much. Let's just stay on Epstein. Let's keep the conversation there. 501, you're live on Freedom Friday. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, good evening, Tim. It's Sean from Arkansas.
What's up,
Thanks
Sean?
for taking my call.
Sure, brother.
Okay, the first thing I want to say is that remarkably, for the first time in a really, really long time, I witnessed an entire country, our country, come together as one to decry that suicide was bullshit. Everybody from every political stripe, 100% on Friday, everybody's like, what the fuck? It's just one of these moments in history that we'll be talking about for a long time. I know there's a lot of people with a lot of serious stuff tonight. I want to tell you, man, that in this world that we live in, I'm sure you can relate to this, that you have to work really, really hard to stay informed and not be misinformed or disinformed or otherwise tricked by all bullshit out there. So it wears you out. It comes and wears on you and weighs on you. And I think I've discovered a little way which helps me cope with this that I want to share with the Wolf Pack tonight, just to see how it plays. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is the opposite of that. This is something I did that is based on current events that I guess I'm going to let you judge it for what it is. I would call it a fan fiction. This is not in any way meant to represent what really happened. But I want to read you this little story I wrote. It's real relevant and it's real short, so I'm going to start right now. The title is Epstein Goes El Chapo. Imagine a warm summer evening, Friday, August 9th, 2019. It's third meal tray time in New York City's Metropolitan Correctional Center. Jeffrey uses both hands to shakily take his meal tray from the trustee and quickly returns to the safety of the back corner of his bunk. He sits there, staring at the tray. It's supposed to be Salisbury steak, mashed potatoes, lima beans, apple slices, and 3 slices of bread, but it looks more like a brown pile of shit with 3 pieces of bread thrown on it and 2 pitiful slices of apple floating in the muck. I promise this isn't very long. They said he'd get an answer by third meal Friday, yet here he sits about to puke looking at that tray with no answer. Sobbingly quietly, he forces that first slice of bread towards his mouth, and that's when he reveals the gel capsule that had been hidden underneath the bread. It was larger than most pills and filled with a dark orange liquid. The adrenaline rushed in, and he accidentally let out a loud gasp. Startling even himself, he covers the pill with bread and improvises a shit on a shingle play off the gasping sound he just made. Was the pill the answer? It must be the answer. It's third meal Friday. He's not heard anything else. This must be it. This has to be it. Or is it a trap? It would take Jeffrey nearly 10 hours to decide what to do. He swallows the orange pill around 5:45 in the morning. He can feel it hit his stomach immediately. Cold sweats roll off his forehead Then a wave of stomach cramps overcome him, and he collapses in pain onto the floor. When he wakes up, he's on a stretcher in an ambulance. His trusted friend John Luke smiles at him and reassures with, "We're just outside Montreal now. Relax, and we'll be airborne soon." Still more believable than that suicide bullshit. And that's my call tonight. Thank you for everything, Tim.
Thank you, Sean, for the phone call, man. I appreciate it. All right. Hey, look. Hey. That's what this is, a conversation, right? Okay. 518. That's a good one, though. I like the story, brother. 518. You're live on Monday. Epstein, what's your name and what's your comment? Epstein situation.
My name's Dylan. I'm from upstate New York. 22. I love your show. Everything you guys do. This Epstein thing is, it's absolutely insane. It's crazy to the core. The whole thing is just, it will ruin your day. But I think the main thing we got to focus on here is what exactly is even going on. I mean, we have this guy who just has an island where he's having rich and powerful people around the world. If they're going there, I mean, and it's clear from, Jim Acosta saying, he could be intelligence. So, that is so disgusting to think that somehow there's a child pedophile ring where, God forbid, that's just it. That's just the story. That's even disgusting. But now we're going to add on that, they could be blackmailing people. I mean, it's insanity. It's terrible. And this suicide, even let's say Jeffrey did kill himself. There's still an absolutely tragic story that just completely shows how corrupt and how crazy our government has become. I mean, to really think about it, you're saying these, they're from Brazil, Guatemala, these children. They're taking children. They're doing absolutely horrific things to them. Somehow there's people who have it on camera. To think that maybe, you voted for the Patriot Act because you were blackmailed, maybe truly or falsely, that can make you almost throw up. But let's say you voted for the Iraq War because, you happen to be a dirtball and you hooked up with a 16-year-old chick with Jeffrey Epstein.
Child.
But then now you have to vote for the war.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all very terrible. I think it's a tragedy. No way the evidence comes clear. I think for that to come clear, we would need, I don't know. I mean, I have hope. I follow Tim Kennedy, who was a Navy SEAL, and he was appalled and outraged, and he thinks there's a conspiracy. So I hope there's some sort of, patriots within our intelligence agency who are willing to, shine light upon this. But I think they love their wives and children, so maybe not. I think it's just a tragedy, Tim, and I love your work, and let's just hope the truth comes out. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the phone call, my brother. I appreciate it. I will just make one addendum to his comment that he said these 16-year-old chicks, let's refer to them as kids. They are kids. They are babies. All right? I got a birthday coming up. 16 is a baby to me. 608. You're live. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, this is Gavin. Hopefully I'm not too loud. My comment, I thought you brought up a really good point about, hey, what if this was hit in a different prison? Take Mississippi, where there were 17 deaths. Just last year, I think just this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they would say, nobody says, hey, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist for saying that the conditions exist where, people are cooperating left and right because they have no power there. And finally, Jeffrey Epstein is at the point where he has no power. So at the end of the day, I don't think it matters if it was a suicide or a murder. But, it can't end here. And I think this is a problem with American society. When you have, nobody was happier than me and nobody volunteered more than me for, Barack Obama in 2008, but you have them come in and say, we're not going to prosecute anything that happened before us with black sites, with, torture.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really sets the tone that there are, about 1,500 families in this country and the world that are billionaires that operate totally separate from any sense of justice. And any time that we can get corporate media or, it's kind of like the Panama Papers, we get a glimpse at the reality of these powerful people. And then that glimpse is snuffed out, in the early morning hours in Manhattan Correctional Facility. I think this is not a conspiracy theory. This is something that should never stop being pursued. We need to see and hear and know all the uncomfortable details. And we unfortunately live in this corporate media world where, we're like, oh, it's normal that we don't prosecute people who committed torture on people and stuff like that, because that was last election cycle or 2 election cycles ago. And it's like, no, these are bad people. So, my only comment is I think we need to pursue this to the end. And a lot of stuff does sound crazy, but when you really look at it, it's not that crazy. Mm-hmm. When we can, have a president who's not even elected come in and pardon the previous president, all the way back in the 70s, and now somehow Gerald Ford, he died a billionaire. So this is not crazy stuff. So I think this conversation needs to continue. I think really good reporting needs to continue. And it'll be interesting to see what shakes out because there's a lot of very bad people involved everywhere. I mean, the person who hired at Dalton School, a person who's not qualified to teach in the state of New York, one Jeffrey Epstein, the person who hired that, the Attorney General's dad. So the current Attorney General's dad was the person who hired one wonderful Jeffrey Epstein who loves to have sex with teenage girls to teach math. So.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for the phone call, man. We appreciate it. And a couple of things that you brought up have, made an idea pop into my head I want to share with you. We're very quickly in this country to come to the conclusion that other countries are corrupt. We hear often about this situation with El Chapo, for instance. We all, how did El Chapo get out of the jail twice? Oh, obviously the corruption of the Mexican, prison system. They're all on the take. And which may be true, I follow Ed Manifesto on Instagram after his appearance on Joe Rogan, where he describes a lot of the underbelly of the Mexican government or the Mexican officials and what goes on with the cartels and situations of that. But it's just weird how we are very quick and eager to talk about Russia, China, North Korea, all these other places, and say how there's always some dastardly deed going on in those countries. What about in our own country? What happens here? Even to consider it is to be called a crackpot or unpatriotic. Then you also have to examine the other side of the coin, which is if there is all of this going on in rich people, as this caller just stated, 150 billionaire families controlling the country, controlling the world, actually, not the country, the world, how did it get this far? if that's the case, why is Jeff Epstein alive to even go in that jail? There's no perfect, theory to anything. From our elections to tampering with elections to what's happening in our prison system, what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. It's just a one hump of the camel's back, or not even that. I won't say one grain of sand, but we got so many unanswered questions when it comes to which way is up that it's enough to make your head spin. Wu-Tang famously said, cash rules everything around me, cream get the money, but this is a whole nother level. So, one, we know America's not above corruption. People die in custody all the time. We have prison officials. We have police officers just in Baltimore with court planning evidence. So don't tell me that it's impossible for members of law enforcement to be on the take. Or who knows, maybe be forced. If we are talking about criminal enterprises, and it just sends your mind spinning and running on, who knows? But one thing is for certain, this leaves a lot. It leaves a lot more questions than answers, and I don't think any of those answers will really be solidified with any evidence that they find. We can always say, well, it's been manufactured evidence. Donald Trump did his own stirring of the pot this weekend when he retweeted, what's this guy? He retweeted a conspiracy theory. This young guy, he retweets a lot. Anyway, President Trump posted a pair of tweets on Saturday evening accusing former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, of somehow being involved in the apparent suicide of alleged pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, even though Trump himself had ties to the disgraced billionaire. Now, one of these tweets came from a Breaking News Live. They claim breaking documents were unsealed yesterday, revealing that the top Democrats, including Bill Clinton, took private trips with Jeffrey Epstein to Pedophilia Island. The president did not tweet out another post from the same account later, but he did tweet out a post by comedian Terrence K. Williams, which said, died of suicide on 24/7 Suicide Watch. Yeah, right. How does that happen? Jeffrey Epstein had information on Bill Clinton, and now he's dead. Trump body count trending, but we know who did this. Retweet if you're not surprised. I can't read Terrence. He's an idiot. He's just so happy at Trump tweet me. But it does bring up a good question, and we've all asked the question, right? Who stands to benefit from the death of Jeffrey Epstein? The problem is a lot of people did. Everyone who's ever who hung out with this guy, from whatever, and it's more people than just Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Come on. See, that we can't be that convenient. We have to at least leave room for being anybody that's ever hung out with him. You at least got to leave that room. And I got a feeling there's other more powerful people, and yes, there are other more powerful people than Donald Trump. In America, we just talked about the oligarchs. We just talked about the true billionaires. Not just on paper, not people withholding their tax information. Talking about the true billionaires. And then we're not even, that's just within, we got to talk about the criminal side, right? Prince Andrew. This is a lot of people that could be in the Jeffrey Epstein Black Book who are very much breathing a sigh of relief right now. All right, we're going to go to the next call. 802. What it do, 802? What's your comment?
All right. Hi, Tim. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you. How you doing?
All right, man. So, break it down to three things, different things. But one is, when it comes to the actual thing that happened here, where is the information about, okay, he died in a cell and he of apparent strangulation by what they should at least have, like, the mechanism or the material that it was. Why didn't they talk about that? Right? So that's one thing that's like information that's not there. The other thing is there's more to be said for this. This wasn't just a suicide, then it is just a suicide. So he was, like we all said, like we know, in this place. The conspiracy, the problem is that crazy conspiracy theories give actual conspiracies a bad name. So more of a conspiracy would be like, well, tell me, all right, you're crazy. You're saying he was able to kill himself? Tell me how your crazy conspiracy is that he was able to do that in this situation, instead of that just being the norm, when the facts sort of lend towards something else might have happened. All right, that's two. I'm already two of the three. And then third thing is that I think you appreciate this is like, yeah, we don't know. I mean, if it wasn't up on the line, okay, there's four. The next thing is the problem we have with the Department of Justice has now been taken over by someone who is working for Donald Trump, like his personal lawyer. We thought Jeff Sessions was the worst that you could possibly have. Like, we thought Jeff Sessions was like, oh, this guy is beyond the pale and da-da-da-da. He actually had some level of independence and recused himself and stuff like that. Trump actually found his guy. I don't think there was collusion with Russia. That was a waste of time. But there was obstruction, and anyway, he found his guy, and this guy kind of runs things. So I hope that there are lower level people working in the law enforcement field that don't just quit and run away, but like do the right thing for us, because we have a very dangerous situation where the Justice Department is run by someone who's supporting a authoritarian leaning person. So that's the problem, is how are we going to get the facts out about anything nowadays with that? And then, all right, and I'll leave you on this, is that it's interesting how there's so many people that could stand to be damaged in the fallout from if Epstein had lived. So all kinds of people could be have a motive, right? But there's an old saying: "He who smelt it dealt it." What was the first thing that happened as soon as the news came out? Right? So who said? Hey, who? Somebody farted. Who said that? It was Donald Trump.
Oh, what a way to end it, man. Thank you so much for the phone call. I appreciate the brevity. No, the levity of your brevity. That was funny. That's a good one. Yeah, he who dealt it. No, he who smelt it dealt it. Oh, yeah, it's across the Delta. A stench. Was that you, bruh? That was you, wasn't it? Oh, that was you. That was me. 510. You're live on the Epstein Tell It All. What's your name? What's your comment? 510. Come on, 510. I'll just give you a great intro. 3, 2, 1. 510. All right, then. 304, you're live. What's your name? What's your comment?
Tim, what you doing switching it up on me? Sorry, man.
What's up? What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I just got back off a quick vacation with the family and stuff, and getting back into it tonight, Monday. And did my usuals, doing my YouTube at night. I see you fired up the live show there, and I'll tell you what, the good topic tonight. and the previous caller kind of hit the nail on the head. I've been fortunate enough through my travels and what I get to do to know that there is a level of power and money that we as all we're talking and everybody in the chat, we don't understand. We're like fish that are under the water, and they're the people up there. You know what I'm looking at the water. They know we're down here. We don't know they're up there, and they control what we get to do, what we get to see, what we buy, how we're. I mean, government plays every aspect of your life, and you don't realize it. Your water, your streets, your communications, what you see on TV, they control all of that. They do control the narrative of what we get to take in and how we regurgitate it. When this all went down, I told my wife, we were on vacation, I said, I don't know whether that guy's dead or he's actually in the witness protection program right now. You know, I mean, we don't know. And she goes, what about this, the autopsy, all this, like, what, these people can't be paid off? These people can't be bought? These people can't find a body double? I said, who knows? I said, we only get to see what they want us to see. They just letting us know this guy's not going to testify. That's what they just told us. Because, I mean, he's dead. You know, I had a friend that went overseas in the military many years ago, and then he went and worked as a contractor for that black water and that triple canopy, some of the high-end contracting over there. And he was over there during that the bin Laden raids and all that stuff. And when he came back, we were talking about that. I said, you know, why'd they bury him at sea? I said, I know the news came out and said that, hey, they before sundown, it was Muslim law that they bury bin Laden and they just put him out to sea. And he goes, that body didn't go to sea because that thing hit the States faster than the bullets hit him. He said, he's here. You know, he's like, no. He goes, that's what they told you. That's what they told them. I said, no, he came back. He said, but that's what they're going to run with. That's what they're going to push down your throats, and that's what you're going to believe. And then you're going to have people like us speculate and guess and determine, like, but you're only getting the news from them, and that's, you can't push back. No, you're crazy. You're a whack job. You're a conspiracist. You know, all that stuff. But that was my 2 cents tonight as far as thinking, you know, what happened. And to think that he's the only billionaire that actually did something bad or something wrong, no. You know, poor Bill Cosby's got to be laughing in his cell. You know?
Right.
I think there's just a level of power that people don't understand, that it's hard to comprehend that people can get away with what they do get away with, what they can't afford, what they can buy, what laws they break. I've heard of ex-Secret Service guys that would talk about if you were to pick up senators' kids doing wrong in town in D.C., you don't take them to jail. I mean, they're committing felony crimes type stuff because you take them home because you don't get to take them to jail. That's a no-no. You know, it's just a code of conduct. The stuff that goes down at the White House and certain things like that, like, it's unfathomable. And even if they were to write books, nobody would believe them.
Yep.
It's, like I said, it's just a level of power that we don't understand, and we're not going to, and we only get fed what we get to see. But, yeah, who's to say that the man's not alive in a program now or down in Mexico and changed the name? Nobody knows. But it makes good, you know, makes us, you know, pay attention more. And like I said, I think we ought to pay attention to who comes up missing next, who comes up dead next. You know, he was too big to take the fall by himself. There will be other names probably popping up, released, other people getting scared. And those are the people that you're going to focus on next, is who comes up missing next.
Wow. Hey, well, look, Oz, thank you so much for the call, man, and welcome back, man. Hope you had a good time on your vacation, brother. I personally dropped your shipment, your Tim Black Wolfpack gift pack, in the mail today, and it's a special Tim Black Wolfpack gift pack for you, Oz, because as you know, you're my number one supporter and have been for almost, 4 or 5 years now. So thank you so much, brother. Guys, that is the guy, one of the guys, who was a part of this crew when I really started doing my thing here. And he's been with me every step of the way. So give it up for Oz. Yeah, brother. So thank you, man. Thank you, brother. 814, you're live. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, Tim. My name's Jeff.
Jeff. Okay.
Just caller. I saw the topic you were talking about on your show and thought I'd chime in. there's a lot going on that people have to wake up and look. And I'd like to ask you a couple questions, and you can just say yes or no to each one of them. Did you know that George Herbert Walker Bush called Jerry Sandusky's foundation one of the 1,000 points of light?
God. No, I didn't
Did you
know
know that?
No, I didn't know that. What's that got to do with Epstein?
Did you know that the DA in the 90s that was looking into the Sandusky case?
Hey, brother. What are your thoughts about Jeffrey Epstein? Let's focus on him.
It's all connected, Tim. It's all connected.
Well, this show is about him right now. What do you think? Just tell me what you think about it.
It's all connected. It's big.
It's big. Okay, so we extrapolate on that. Why is it big? What's up?
It's all connected. It's huge. It's this. The thing with Epstein isn't even just the tip of the iceberg. And this will be made clear. You'll see this in time. I'm not calling to mess with your show or anything. I'm being absolutely serious. When you look into this, you will draw the connections yourself.
It's just that when people start asking me questions, it's typically but they don't have anything to say. So I want you to tell me.
Well, no, I'm asking you questions.
Why?
Because I want to see.
I'm open the phone lines for you to speak your mind, not ask me questions about cases that you've researched, brother. What do you think about Epstein? Do you think he's alive? Do you think he was murdered? Do you think he committed suicide? Do you think there's a vast network of this going on, which is what I tend to believe? Where do you fall on this?
There is a vast network, and I do think he's alive.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the comment, my brother. And I agree. I think that I think there's evidence to look that direction. I don't think that makes us crazy in any way, shape, or form. You know? And as I was pointing out earlier, trying to lay the groundwork for it, if this happened in Mexico, right? Let's just say it happened in Mexico. All of a sudden, El Chapo's dead. Suicide. In a very well-secured facility that's only had one suicide in the last 21 years. And someone said, I think the government has something to do with it, or law enforcement has something to do with it, or this guy's not dead. He's so rich, he's gone to, I don't know, Argentina. No one would call you anything negative. They would say, that guy's thinking straight. That guy is not a sheep. But in America, if we do that, we're called crazy crackpots. In fact, the only time I've ever had any problem with mainstream media, as far as coming after me, has been issues like this where I say, well, this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense. I got questions. Then they write smear articles. Now, I could talk about black guy getting shot in the street by a cop all day. No problem. No smear article. I can call out Hillary Clinton. Say she's a horrible candidate. You nominate her, you'll get Trump. No smear articles. Remember, we're talking about the most watched independent black media on the left in the country. Some people cite Black Agenda Report. I don't consider them doing the same thing I do. The only thing closest to it is Roland Martin, who we all know is CNN or MSNBC, which he could be, trying to get back in every day. So the only knock that they've ever given me, brother, was calling out crap like this. Things that don't add up, that makes people who have any facts go, this is strange. Never having definitive, we may never get definitive evidence to our thoughts with this, right? But logic dictates that we need to look at this further than just accept blindly the narrative of an alleged apparent suicide. My thing is, brother, what's up with this apparent thing? Why was that so quickly so apparent? Like, don't we have to do a medical examination, a forensics analysis? I mean, hey, I saw an episode of The Wire where a guy, where they did a fake hanging of him. And it was, as one caller pointed out, they don't even tell us what material was used. We know that the bed sheets that they are given to these inmates in similar circumstances as Jeffrey Epstein, they're paper grade. Like, they're paper grade. Paper does what? So now we're saying he hung himself with his underwear? So a lot of rules, at the very least, a lot of rules were broken, at least, from the monitoring by the guards to the surveillance films, all these things. Not having a roommate, a cellmate, all these protocols were broken. Just so happened to be broken with a guy who's set to testify and has multiple millions, billions, some say billions of dollars at his disposal, who spent most of his time outside the country to begin with. So I don't think we're kooky. I don't think I'm kooky. I'm going to go to the next call, though. 704, you're live. What's your name? What's your comment?
Am I on the air?
Yes, you are, 704.
Okay, my name is Jean. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Talk to me,
I'm
Charlotte.
an ex-cop.
Oh.
I'm an ex-cop, ex-correctional officer, and ex-parole officer. So I think I know of what I speak. I had a couple things that I thought were important. You mentioned, Tim, you mentioned about the bed sheets. I worked in a prison a long time ago, but since then, I worked when a guy did commit suicide, and it is horrific. And they do reduce the staff when it's 11 to 7 shift. So maybe that's when he committed suicide. Again, we weren't given the time. Nowadays, they have something called, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Nowadays, they have something, they may have the paper sheets. I wasn't familiar with those, but they have what they call suicide sheets, which is basically a thick sleeping bag. You cannot tear that thing apart. Also, I wanted to talk about the protocol. What you're supposed to do when a person is on suicide watch. You're not just watching the videotape. You are actually eyeballing the person. You are to walk over to that cell. We took turns. You walk by the cell, you eyeball the person, you go back. And it's not every half hour. It's like 10 to 15 minutes. You take turns. Another person goes, and you don't go regularly so that the inmate kind of figures out it's about time for you to come around. You kind of change it up. You don't want them to hurt themselves, so that's the big deal. So there's they didn't follow any kind of protocol that had to do with eyeballing the person. Then you go back to that central, I'll call it setup, where you can see all the different cells, and you write down into the log. There's a daily log that must be entered every time you look at that person. You go back and you write it down. Now, I noticed they haven't interviewed any of the correctional personnel, and I'm sure they were probably told to shut up. But you have to eyeball the person. You can't just depend on a camera. The other thing is these cameras that all of a sudden are not working, just like on 9/11, all of a sudden no camera's working. You would notice if the camera was not working. Let's see. Trying to make sure I got all this stuff out. The double body. Oh, yeah, the doppelganger or whatever. When this first happened and they said he was in a crouched position, fetal position, attempted suicide and all this, I knew that was a bunch of, am I allowed to say BS?
Yes.
It was a whole bunch of it. And I said, he's going to get busted out of jail because it's my understanding that Mr. Epstein is also Israeli Mossad. I'll probably get, now you're off the air. But anyway, they're better than our CIA. They're not going to let somebody go. They will get him. I'm sure they did. But they could have swapped him out on the initial transport. Maybe that didn't happen. But see, they kept showing that old picture of Epstein. You know, the one where he looks like a homeless bum. Mm-hmm. And I said, why do they keep putting that picture up? The picture was not his mugshot. You can tell the mugshot. They got the lines behind the people, so you can see how tall they are. This is just an ugly shot of an ugly old man or whatever, and probably made to look like whoever this double was, a little more so. You can Photoshop things. But when they had that old man on the gurney, if you look back at those pictures, I'm old now, but this is my cop sense coming up. I said, where are the man's limbs? I didn't see arms or legs. I saw a part of a head. And when you look closely and you compare those heads, because a lot of people have done this, you'll see that Epstein had a more, I'll call it an aquiline nose, a straight nose, didn't curve at the end. The old man on the gurney, his nose curved on the end. Eyebrows were different. And somebody was mentioning, I didn't know this, but the ears. Everybody has ear canals, or I'll say the convolutions in the ear are specific each and every one of us, just like your fingerprints. They're totally different. And to me, my first call when I was a cop, LAPD, my first call was a triple homicide. So I know what a freshly dead, killed, I should say, body looks like. That body laying on that gurney was not dead, or was dead for a good while. At least that's in my almost professional opinion. So there was the body double. I call it the body double. They could have switched him out many a time. But now that I know that the video cameras went down and the correctional staff said they didn't look at him for hours, well, they could have taken it. They could have switched somebody out any time. But an opportune time would have been last week or whenever it was when he went to the hospital. How do you know that the people, what ambulance service was it? Of course, we weren't told. What hospital was it? Well, they didn't divulge that information. How long was he there? Well, we don't know. When did he come back? Oh, well, we don't know that either. How did he get back? How did he get back? You don't take the ambulance back to the jail. Well, they'd have to have like an armored transport vehicle. I'll say a transport vehicle, which anybody could do this. Show some fake IDs and some fake badges and just take the guy back. You're not really taking him back. You're taking back somebody else. And I know that's a lot of conspiracy theory, but there are things that could be conspired about to do. And then lastly, if I may say something about the media. All 6 or 7 major mainstream media services reported the exact same thing. When he had I call it the fake suicide attempt initially, they all reported it the same way. His neck was hurt. What the heck does that mean? I got a boo-boo on my neck. What the heck does that mean? It would have been written down as bruising to the neck, consistent with choking, but not a boo-boo, a hurt on his neck. I'm sorry if I'm shouting about this, but it makes me really mad because people must think we are really stupid. And I don't think he was killed. The whole fake suicide thing was to get us to thinking that somebody killed him. So now everybody's off the hook. The girls who had been raped and sodomized and everything else, they don't have to be scared anymore because he's dead. Oh, no. Not at all. He has been spirited away, as it were, by a team. He got too much information on people. Now, you don't kill a person like that. You use a person like that. And he's got enough money to buy everybody. Correctional staff do not make that much money, trust me. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. I don't want to keep taking up your time, but I think it was important for people to know that a suicide watch is exactly that. You must walk by that cell and look at that person. Then you have to go back and log it down. So I would want to see that daily log. And believe me, I believe heads are going to roll. That's all I had to say.
Well, thank you
for
so
your
much.
Program, Tim. I tuned in at the last minute, and I had put it on a timer to make sure I heard you. Anyway, thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate you. What an amazing phone call, man. That is what I'm talking about. This show is only as good as the callers, man. On Freedom Friday, and this is a substitute for Freedom Friday because we open up phone lines. I'm telling you, man, if it wasn't for great calls like this, like to give you that inside information, I appreciate it. I was hoping I could find somebody like you, Cheryl, to break it down. But I wanted to do this show anyway, and as fate would have it, karma or whatever, you called in tonight. I appreciate it. That's what I'm talking about. That was 704. Let's go with 510 again. 510.
Hello there. Do you hear me?
I hear you now. How you doing?
Hello?
We hear
hello.
you.
Sorry about my phone. I wanted to mention a very paralleling case from the 90s that seems to have a lot of connections with this. There was a man named Danny Castellano who was doing an investigation on a supposed organization called Octopus at the time. Now, he believed that this would have connections to Iran's Contras, the the Contras in general. Sorry, I'm blurring a bit there. And there was also the Reagan election, and there were many other cases in which he believed that these were people that were basically in charge of all of the foul play going on in places all over the world, including and mostly in Central America. Now, this man, he essentially was somebody who was a journalist. He would report things to people, and he ended up getting enough information to tell the people around him he's almost ready with a report. But then, one day, he was found dead in his bathtub with his wrist slit multiple times. And then the police ruled that a suicide, like with Jeffrey Epstein. However, the family of him basically revealed that this is nearly impossible. The guy was afraid to even have a blood test done on himself. He was very much afraid of the sight of his own blood. So this makes absolutely no sense to call it a suicide. And there were also phone calls he made to his family saying that he has received threatening calls, and if he is not alive by the end of the evening, it was no accident. And that definitely implies that there is a lot more foul play there. And the way that I feel it connects to this case is he was going after something big. I mean, the idea of an organization as big as it would seem that he was investigating, Octopus, that just blows my mind. And I think it blows the minds of a lot of other people. And but then how it connects to Epstein is if this organization that he was connected to is nearly the same size as that of this organization I mentioned, I wouldn't find it surprising at all if somebody murdered him. I mean, at that point, it would almost seem as though the system were trying to cater to encourage somebody to kill him at that point and give a lot of loopholes so that there could be somebody to kill him. In other words, it just seems really too convenient for him to have committed suicide right when it seems like he could be renditioned in front of the government and have all of this inner ring of sorts of pedophiles and sex traffickers revealed to the world. And I mean, we've seen some of the figures, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, hell, Stephen Hawking even went to the island at one point. Oh, sorry, my bad. The Bill Clinton thing is up in the air, but either way, the point stands that if we know these people are part of it, I can only imagine how many others could be part of it. And I really do think it's up to question to see how big this network really could be and just exactly what the motivation would be around this. And that's pretty much my big point. Thank you.
I thank you for the phone call, my friend. And wow, that's very interesting. I hadn't heard about that. The Octopus operation. Interesting. Let's keep it moving. 412. 412, you're live. What's your name and what's your comment?
Hey, Tim, it's Uli. How you all doing?
Hey, Uli, what's
I
up?
have to chime in here.
Cool.
Well, remember about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I called in and I said, we need to keep this guy alive. It was so obvious. It was so obvious right from the start that this guy was not going to get to testify, in my opinion. That was sort of, we were almost told right then and there, like, yeah, don't hold your breath. It ain't going to happen. What bothered me was the same thing you said earlier, that the mainstream right away, all the reports said in an apparent suicide, like, apparent, that means obvious. That means like obvious to the naked eye, right? And this is anything but obvious. I loved the caller before that was a ex-police person who brought all this insight. My concern now is that, and one caller said this previously, like, okay, what we're basically being told is the guy isn't going to testify. And I think for us, it is important to keep the eyes on the prize. Okay, so he's gone. Whether he's alive or murdered or whatever, he's gone. He's not going to testify. And we probably all kind of figured that out weeks ago, that he wasn't going to testify. But now it's important to keep our eyes on what's out there already, the names that we already know of, those diaries, right? I read that he kept meticulous diaries on everything that went on in his life and around him. So where is that stuff? I don't care at this point where he's at. I really don't care. Personally, I don't think he's dead. I think he's sitting on some beach and he's fine. But it doesn't matter. The stuff is already there. You know, it reminds me of like the whole Russiagate affair, where we're all so consumed about who said what and what is true and what not, and what kept being swept under the rug was the evidence that actually what came out. You know, doesn't matter how it came out, even if it was Russia. Who cares? What came out? You know what I mean? And with this guy, this is so much worse. And it's bipartisan, and it's international. The whole world is sort of involved in this. And again, it's about our children. This isn't some kind of wishy-washy political kind of game. We're talking about the abuse of children. We're talking about the rape of our children, because they're going after poor children. You know what I mean? They're going after our kids. And it's been going on. It's been documented. There's a great series of an article on Mint Press if people want to read up on it. It's really quite insightful about how big this is and how long it's been going on, and how deeply this is involved with the intelligence of the world. So I would say at this point, okay, the guy's gone. Epstein is not going to testify. Hooray, we knew this. Let's deal with what we already know, and let's keep our eyes on the prize. Let's not forget what we're talking about here and what we already know. And let's keep focused on keeping that alive, and work on, coming to the truth with or without that dude. You know what I mean? Because the truth is there. So if he's not going to be the one, let's find someone else. Let's have, let's get this out, and let's get this conversation about what it's really about, which is pedophilia, which is awful. That's it. That's my take. I'll catch you all later this week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Uli. I appreciate the phone call, sis. Yeah, either way, regardless to what is actual or factual regarding Jeffrey Epstein, the important fact is he will not testify, whether he's on a remote island or whether he is he's transitioned. Either way, he won't be testifying. But the evidence is still there. You know, this guy had videos of young girls in his crib in New York when they went in and took the when they did the search and seizure, and he had videos of Volume 1, Young Girls Volume 1. And the most horrific thing about that is not just that it says Young Girls, but it says Volume 1. If you got a Volume 1, there's always a Volume 2. 917. You're live. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, Tim. It's Kennedy from Brooklyn.
Hey, Kennedy. Talk to me, bro.
Great to hear you. So, it's not a surprise to anybody that he was suicided. I mean, this is something that we all foresaw. We knew he knew too much, and they were not going to let him live, or he's been swept away, and he's still out someplace. Regardless, I feel terrible to the victims who still need to be vindicated. Again, some people remembers that this was a network. It wasn't just one person. It wasn't like he was like the super villain. He was one of many people. So it is important to look at the network and to see, the people in the Black Book and see where they connect financially, all this, also real estate wise, also how they all intersect. I mean, there's plenty of things to be sewn together, and things will be exposed. So I think, again, it's about vindicating the victims. Because these people, girls, these children, they were abused, and they deserve to, have their stories told if they want to tell it, or just be told, hey, we believe you, and enough corroborating evidence will expose a lot of people outside of just Jeffrey Epstein. I think he's like a fall guy. And again, it's the ruling class. They're elites. They're people who, want to have extravagant things. It's like the Hunger Games, where they want it all extra. That's what awards are all about. It's all about, like dangling this better life in front of you while the rest of us, the working class, are, struggling and getting by. But the ruling class, they can do extraordinary things and they can get away with it because if they have money, power, and influence, they can write a check and clear themselves of crimes. Meanwhile, if somebody gets caught with a joint on the street, oh, they're going down. Kamala's going to put you in jail. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, it's unfortunate. Another thing I think that we have to really just be aware of is if there's any people in that black book that are superdelegates, I think they should have their superdelegate status removed immediately. I think any politicians in there should be looked at with a critical eye because, again, they are part of an echelon that we can't see. And if if they've been exposed, we need to be able to kick them out of office. They should not be in a position to hurt people. Anyway, Tim, always terrific speaking with you. I'm sorry to be so somber tonight, but this is one of those subjects where it's difficult, just knowing the children are being hurt because there's a sick group of individuals who have, power and influence masking their duplicity. But thanks for giving us all the spot to check in with each other and say, hey, we're not crazy. We all know what we see. The media can spin it how they want. They can try to make him a single fall guy and pretend it's all not connected. Mm-hmm. But just say Maxwell's out there. There's other people out there. And thanks for giving us this space to all, check in and be real and say, look, we see they're doing. We know it's real.
Hey, thank you, Kennedy.
Thanks again, Tim. Have a great night.
You too, my brother. Thank you for calling up, man. And you're absolutely right, brother. That's what motivated me to do this show is just saying, hey, you know what? We're not crazy, and we need a way to share it. A lot of my colleagues, we all have our role to play. So one of the things that we do here is we have open phone lines, and it just so happens, hey, we're going to use it. We're going to use it to share this, and that's what the Tim Black Wolfpack community is all about. Kennedy, you're one of my favorite callers. Thank you for calling that, brother. 214, you're live. Hey, how you doing?
You gonna ever come to Dallas, Tim Black?
I need to, my brother. I haven't been, though.
I know me and that Stone D guy on Twitter would love to see you in person. But that aside, I want to back to the subject of Epstein. That guy, here's how I see it. Back in 2016, there was what was called a conspiracy theory known as Pizzagate. And yes, it's true that Comet Pizza, there's no evidence about that and all that. But many of us, including myself, said back then, don't dismiss the idea that some pedophiles would have a conflict of interest and run for office to try and make life better for themselves, either through passing laws that are more favorable to them or doing the opposite to make themselves not look like pedophiles. People are going to be people. That's not a conspiracy. But people laughed that off for years and dismissed it as a conspiracy. I want every single person who did that to think back and reflect. It may be true that there weren't a bunch of pedophiles gathering in Comet Pizza. Fine. But the idea that people are going to be people and corrupt the system in their favor, I guess that was a conspiracy. Am I right, Tim?
I don't know what you mean, brother. Go ahead with your comment. I appreciate it.
Well, no, that's all I had to say.
Oh, okay. All right.
Pretty much everything I said.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. So yeah. Hey, what is wrong with it? Try to shut down my channel, man. Just gotta try to shut it down, don't you? God damn it. All right. So look, guys. I don't know if there's any resolution that's going to be found on this show regarding Jeffrey Epstein. I think it's got a lot of unanswered questions, and I think we should have unanswered questions at this point. We should still be wondering because I don't think they're giving us any type of information that we can fact check, anything that we could actually dig into ourselves to examine. We had some great calls that laid out some very obvious facts and some facts not so obvious that are pertain directly to law enforcement, how things are actually done. But we did take a look at it, so that's important. I want to thank everybody who participated in the show tonight. What do I think about Jeffrey Epstein? I think, like I said, these are not allegations about what he's done. There are a number of victims that have come forth. He admitted. That's why he is convicted. These are other charges. These are more charges. Okay? So if you are convicted of these charges to begin with, and now there are additional charges, the likelihood of those being true also is pretty high in my book. What else? Just very interesting points that people were making. I just think, once again, we're in a situation where they want to call us crazy and loopy and dismiss, our ability to look at things logically and just say, just because there's money involved, just because there are rich people involved or powerful people involved, that doesn't give this less credence, our conspiracies or our theories, but gives them more credence. It takes money to get things done. It takes power to get things done. I liked Oz's take on it, where we got the people that live beneath the water and the people that live above it. The people above are aware of the people below, but the people below or the species below may not understand or know about the species above. So in that analogy, the rich, they know exactly where we are. Do we really know where they are? Interesting stuff, guys. Look, tomorrow we'll be back here, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll talk more about the latest news breaks. You know how to find me, Real Tim Black, on Twitter and Facebook, Tim Black at Night on Instagram. Also, if you are $5 a month or more subscriber or member of the Tim Black Wolfpack, please send me your information to client care at timblacktv.com. That is client care at timblacktv.com, your mailing address, so I can send you your free Tim Black Wolfpack gift pack. I had to come up with a better way to track who's getting it, where we're sending it, because frankly, guys, the interest has been overwhelming. And so I don't want to miss anybody. So make sure you send me that information, guys. Client care at timblacktv.com, and we'll get those out to you. Wow. All right, guys. Let me go check my Instagram. Let's go check our Super Chat and see if I got any comments I need to be reading. So I already got Western Goods TV and A. Mayers. Thank you so much. Larry the Truth. He's blaming Israel. He said they brought out politics. Thank you for the Super Chat. Platitude Platypus. Remember William Barr's father had employed Epstein as a teacher back in the day. You know what? I did see that. And he had really no teaching experience. Thank you for the Super Chat and the reminder, Platypus. Wow. I was expecting more people to be involved in this conversation tonight. I'm be honest with you. I thought people like, oh, I got to talk about this. But I don't know, maybe are people a little intimidated to discuss? They wouldn't be intimidated to discuss this stuff, would they? Guys, maybe they are. I don't know. Or maybe YouTube doesn't want me to get a big crowd behind this. Because I've seen videos, people talking, but I haven't seen an open phone line on this conversation yet. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. Just seems a little weird that we could do regular news that's not as drama-filled as this conversation and not more people be tuned in. I pay attention to these things. Just seems a little weird. Could make me have a theory. A conspiracy theory. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, everybody on Facebook. Thank you, Periscope. Thank you, YouTube. Tim Black's Wolfpack in the house. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.